Welcome to Lesson 6.1, A Changing Landscape. In this lesson, we'll describe human activities that can affect the biosphere and describe the relationship between resource use and sustainable development. Take a look at these two pictures. Both images are taken from the same island in Hawaii. Notice that one image is surrounded by built-up areas that support tourism. The ancestors of native Hawaiians recognized that their long-term survival depended on the limited and changing resources of their island homes. For example, they avoided catching several fish species during spawning season so fish populations could replenish themselves. Anyone who wanted to cut down a coconut palm was required to plant two to take its place. Hawaiians didn't treat their island like a nature reserve. They cleared forests to plant farms. They introduced non-native plants, pigs, chickens, dogs, and rats. These actions drove many native species to extinction. For centuries, Hawaiian ecosystems still provided fresh water, fertile soil, fish, and other resources to keep the society self-sufficient. But in the late 1700s, new settlers arrived who didn't understand Hawaii's limited resource space. The environmental changes in Hawaii have powerfully impacted ecosystem function and stability. Seafood became scarce because overfishing made once common fish rare. Agriculture practices and pollution have depleted or polluted the drinking water. Lots of food must be imported because local farmers can't produce enough. The example of Hawaii is important because humans, like all organisms, rely on natural resources and products of healthy ecosystems. While islands are small and force people to realize that long-term survival is dependent on a limited resource base, those who live on large continents don't think of themselves as living on an island. Earth is an island of life and space, as shown by photographs of Earth from satellites. When human populations were small, environmental problems were local. There was always new land to settle and new sources of food and water. Today, human activity has used or changed as much as 80% of all land that is not covered with ice and snow. These figures led some ecologists to suggest that our global population will soon approach Earth's carrying capacity for humans. So how is Earth like an island? Well, Earth is like an island because the resources here are finite. We can't get water or soil from anywhere else. It's also like an island because humans can't live anywhere else or leave to live anywhere else. So, which human activities affect the environment? Well, human affects regional and global environments through agriculture, development, and industry. What natural resources are affected? Some examples include soil, water, and the atmosphere. Why is agriculture one of the most important human inventions? Well, a dependable food supply enabled humans to gather in settlements. Settlements grew into towns and cities, which encouraged the growth of civilization. Feeding the growing human population was made possible by modern agricultural practices such as monoculture. Monoculture enables efficient sowing, tending, and harvesting of crops using machines, providing food for 7 billion people. However, it impacts natural resources, including fresh water and fertile soil. Humans capture somewhere between 20 and 40% of total net global primary productivity. Fertilizer production and farm machinery also consume large amounts of fossil fuels. So how has agriculture helped shape civilization? Agriculture enabled humans to gather in settlements that grew into towns and cities. Settlements, in turn, encouraged the growth of modern civilization. As modern society developed, many people chose to live in cities. In the United States, urban centers became crowded and suburbs expanded. The growth of cities and suburbs have environmental effects. Dense human communities produce large amounts of wastes. If these wastes are not disposed of properly, they can affect air, water, and soil resources. Development consumes farmland and divides natural habitats into fragments. Human society was transformed by the Industrial Revolution of the 1800s. Today, industry, science, and technology provide us with the conveniences of modern life, from comfortable homes and clothes to electronic devices for work and play. A lot of energy is required to produce and power these conveniences. We produce most of this energy by burning fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas, in ways that disrupt the carbon cycle and affect the environment. In addition, industries have traditionally discarded waste from manufacturing and energy production directly into the air, water, and soil. Healthy ecosystems provide many goods and services, such as breathable air and drinkable water, free of charge, so we often take them for granted. But if the environment can't provide these goods and services, society must spend money to produce them. So, what three ecosystem goods and services have you used today? Well, you've breathed in air, you've drank water, and you've probably used oil from the gasoline burned in your car. In many places, water clean enough to drink is provided naturally by streams, rivers, and lakes, and is filtered by wetlands. In human-caused environmental changes, if human caused environmental changes impact ecosystem stability and function, water quality may fall. In such cases, cities and towns must pay for mechanical or chemical treatment to provide safe drinking water. Take a look at this picture. This is farmland as it appeared recently. It had been drained and levied for farming in 1900. Ecosystem goods and services can be classified as either renewable or non-renewable. A renewable resource can be produced or replaced by a healthy ecosystem. A single southern white pine is an example of a renewable resource because a new tree can grow in place of an old tree that dies or is cut down. Power generated from wind is also a renewable resource. If natural processes cannot replenish resources within a reasonable time, they are considered to be non-renewable resources. Fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas are non-renewable resources formed from buried organic materials over millions of years. When existing deposits are depleted, they are gone. Ecological science can teach us how to use natural resources to meet our needs without causing long-term environmental harm. Using resources in such an environmentally conscious way is called sustainable development. Sustainable development provides for human needs while preserving the ecosystems that produce natural resources. So what are the results of sustainable development? Well, it should cause no long-term harm to the soil, water, and climate on which it depends. It should consume as little energy and material as possible. Sustainable development must be flexible enough to survive environmental stresses like droughts, floods, and heat waves or cold snaps. Sustainable development must take into account human economic systems and ecosystem goods and services. It must do more than just enable people to survive. It must help them improve their situation. Let's take a look at these two statements here. Human activities change the quality of Earth's natural resources. Sustainable development provides human needs while preserving the ecosystem that produce natural resources.